The story begins in sometime in the 1980s, where we see a South Korean secret agent being tied up in chains. The man has hands tied up and hanged, while we see that his body is filled with bruises and injuries, and blood splattered all over him. The man then softly asks for food, which angers everyone who were torturing him. They say to him that it might be common in South Korea for them to give infiltrators food to eat, but that is not what they do in their great nation of North Korea. The man once again speaks up, and he repeats the same notion that he wants some food, and if they give him food, he will do anything. He says that if they offer him food to eat, he will cooperate with them and tell them everything starting from who he is, what his rank is, and what their intentions were. The man says that he took up this job so that he could eat well and lead a happy life, but as it stands, he will not be alive for long due to the hunger, so he will do it. Everyone are a bit skeptical about this, but the captain of the division tells the man that they will give him food, but only if he promises to reveal all the information about the mission he was conducting and which pathway he used to infiltrate into North Korea. The man agrees, and the captain tells his underlings to bring food. One of them is a bit worried about giving this man food, but the captain yells at him and tells him that if they don't manage to get anything out of him and send him to a higher division, they won't get any credit for their work and the higher division will take the cake. However, if they manage to get information out of him, it will be beneficial for the entire division. And so they proceed, and bring the man some rather peculiar-looking soup and rice to eat. They still don't let his hands free and keep it tied together with chains, but they give him a spoon and chopsticks to eat with. The man then sits down and starts eating the food. As he uses the spoon to taste the soup for the first time, he tells the North Korean officers that while he had heard that North Korean food was full, he still can't understand why the soup tastes so bad and what had they mixed in it. He further goes on to say that all military food suck badly and that even the rice is too hard to swallow. This angers the North Koreans, who feel like the South Korean infiltrator is being disrespectful and ungrateful for what they're doing for him. They tell him to just eat up or they'll finish him and tell him the taste of food is not important. Right then, we see a chopstick that was thrown at immaculate speed go and impaled the head of the North Korean division captain. The captain then falls down and it causes eruption in the North Korean camp. The South Korean man then says that the taste of the food is very important. The North Koreans then get enraged and go to attack the man all at once. The man just stands there with a chopstick in hand. Sometime later, we see that his hands and the chopstick are painted over with blood. We then see that the North Korean officers are all down and out from the beating that the man handed to them. The man then says that he will keep his promise to them, as they fed him. The man then says that his name is Do Jang-on, and he is the first sergeant of South Korea's intelligence department. Do Jang-on says that he infiltrated to North Korea via swimming through the ocean, and that the reason why they sent him to North Korea was so that he could go there and finish off the Northerners, just like how he finished off the people in the room. Jang-on then throws the remaining chopstick in his hand towards a mosquito that was bugging him for a while, and the chopstick ends up finishing the mosquito by embedding it to the wall. Jang-on then says that he has realized that he shouldn't do this kind of work anymore. A few months after this incident, the story is back in Seoul, where we see Do Jang-on at a restaurant with his boss, Lieutenant Colonel Park, who orders 2x meat soup and rice to get into Jang-on's good books as he is passionate for food. Colonel Park tells Jang-on that he is by far the most efficient man they have at work, so he doesn't know why Jang-on is quitting all of a sudden, when he has been so good about work lately. Jang-on then says that it is because of the drop in food quality at the military which makes him want to quit. We then see that their ordered food had arrived and Colonel Park prepares the soup and rice specifically for Jang-on to eat. However, Jang-on says that he doesn't eat that way. Jang-on then shows his passion of food by telling Colonel Park about how he eats. Jang-on says that he scoops more than half of the rice from the bowl but doesn't take it entirely. Then he puts the rice into the soup and mixes it before consuming it. This way he can enjoy his food without worrying about leftover rice after soup finishing. Colonel Park then asks Jang-on just why had he had to quit. Is it because of the mission? To which Jang-on says that it is not about the mission. Colonel Park makes it clear that the main objective of the mission was to infiltrate North Korea and come back alive. And that is what Jang-on has done, so the mission wasn't a failure. Jang-on says that it is not about that at all. Colonel Park then smiles before telling Jang-on to eat first and talk later. Jang-on says that he is thankful to Colonel Park, to which the man asks why, and Jang-on replies by saying that he is thankful to Colonel Park because how he gave him the opportunity to eat well and earn money when he had nothing. Colonel Park says that it is okay and that Do Jang-on is one of their best ever men, and that his contributions will be remembered for years to come. Later on, we see that Jang-on has started working at a construction site, and his co-workers are all gaga about how energetic and strong he is at work. One of them says that he has decades of experience in carrying these things, but Jang-in makes it look easy by comparison. We then see Do Jang-on running around with tons of weight on his back, climbing stairs and overall, working very hard to get used to things. Jang-on says that what Colonel Park said was the truth because while his skills are being acknowledged, he still has a hard life going on for him. However, he is not looking back again, and he is going to try in his own way. We see that after working, in the afternoon, Do Jang-on goes to the bank nearby to deposit his money. Upon entering the bank, he looks at a very beautiful girl at the reception, and they both smile and greet each other. We then see the backstory of what went down between them. One day, when Jang-on got his daily wages, one of his co-workers told him to not spend the money on alcohol or other bad habits like a lot of the people working there were doing. Instead, he should save it. After all, he is a young man, and a young man should save his money. Jang-on didn't quite understood what that meant, but as he didn't have anything to do in general, let alone do anything with money, he decided to go and save his money at the bank nearby. And upon going there, he meets this very beautiful woman, who smiled at him for opening an account, and at that moment, Do Jang-on was blown away by her. From that day onwards, Jang-on went to the bank every day in the afternoon to deposit 5,000 won, which is a small amount, but it gave him an opportunity to see the beautiful lady every day. First, he wanted her to recognize him by the face, then they also remembered each other's name, the girl's name being Song Si-in-ah, and that is how a relationship automatically formed between the two, like how interest forms when you save in a bank account. We also learn that Si-in-ah is a hard-working lady, and even though she had very loving parents, they were very poor. So right after completing high school, Si-in-ah began working at the bank. Do Jang-on told her how he was working in the military and now works at construction, and she asked why doesn't he have money from his military days, to which he replied by saying that he gave away all his earnings to the family of the ones who passed away while working with him because they had families unlike him. This really impressed Si-in-ah, and she was deeply touched by it. Back to current time, and Si-in-ah tells Jang-on to actually save up his money and deposit a big amount for once at the end of the month instead of coming every day to deposit. Jang-on says that if he starts doing it that way, then he will be only able to see her once a month. This makes Si-in-ah blush a lot, and Jang-on realizes that this is the reason for him to live on now. However, just because he has a reason doesn't mean he has it easy, as living every day is still very hard for him. We then see Jang-on lay down on his bed as some news about the Daesan Welfare Organization goes on. Jang-on wonders that ever since he became an adult, he was being trained to do some very hard stuff, and he got good at those in the military. However, since leaving that job, he has not been able to utilize his skills he knows best, and it is showing as he doesn't earn a lot and wants to eat and live well. Right then, someone knocks on his door, and upon opening it, Jang-on sees that it is Staff Sergeant Jo Tae-moon, who was a good soldier but quit the job for personal reasons. Tae-moon then enters his house, and Jang-on tells him that he must have it good because of his luxurious watch. Tae-moon says that he is paid well at his current job. Jang-on asks how he got his address, to which Tae-moon says that he got it from asking at the military office, who informed him that Jang-on quit, and then he searched around the vicinity to find him. Tae-moon then says that he has a job offer for Jang-on. Jang-on asks what kind of job is Tae-moon referring to, and Tae-moon tells him that he is talking about the kind of job that Jang-on is best at. We then see Jang-on telling Tae-moon that he doesn't want to dirty his hands, and Tae-moon tells him that he doesn't need to finish off anyone for good, it's just that he wants him to beat up someone. Jang-on then asks Tae-moon just what kind of job is he doing, to which Tae-moon says that he is just a public representative on the outside, but really speaking, he is the leader of a gang, and the person he wants Jang-on to beat up is the leader of an opposition gang who has been picking fights with them over little things. Jang-on then says that he won't quit his day-to-day job to do something like that, as he doesn't identify with that kind of work. Tae-moon then flips the situation by asking Jang-on if he quit the military job to live in such a rundown place and work at a construction site of all places. Jang-on gets stung by this and tells Tae-moon to show some respect to his living. Tae-moon then says that he will offer Jang-on 50 million won in cash to do this job for him, and with that money he can do whatever he wants, buy a house in Seoul or even start his own business. This shocks Jang-on as 50 million won is equivalent to 37,000 US dollars, and what is basically equivalent to 10,000 days of work for Jang-on. Tae-moon then says that it is really up to Jang-on if he wants that kind of money or not, and if he ever decides to change his mind and stance on these things, he can contact him and gives him his card. He then tells Jang On that his office is at Daesan and that he can get there by taking an expression bus in no time. As Taemoon prepares to leave, he says that he doesn't understand how a person like Do Jang On is staying away from what he does best to do work like this and to live in a place like this, and leaves. Later on, Jang On lays down as he tries his best to sleep. However, the rats which live above the roof of the house are making noises and it ruins his sleep. He then contemplates on what to do. However, he decides that he will rather stick to his current job and observe a bit more before making a move. As he sleeps, he keeps thinking about what Taemoon said about Jang On wasting his skills for no reason whatsoever. The next day, Jang On goes to work and sees that there are a lot of heavy cartons and boxes for him to carry. Jang On asks the boss about where the other guys are, and the boss replies by saying that he noticed that Jang On is beyond impressive at work, and so he only called Jang On and didn't call anyone else for work, because he knows that Jang On will be able to handle all the work on his own. Jang On then looks on as he looks more and more disinterested in his current life. Meanwhile, outside the bank, we see that Seon Ah is having a drink and a chat with her co-worker. The co-worker asks Seon Ah why she is happy during the afternoon, and is it because Do Jang On comes during that time? Does she like him or what? Seon Ah gets a bit flustered by this and replies that Do Jang On comes to the bank every day and makes daily depositions, so if this was a store, he would be considered a regular customer and would command better treatment, which is exactly why she treats him kindly. The co-worker then said that it makes sense when Seon Ah puts it that way, because after all, Jang On isn't a particularly good-looking man. He isn't handsome by the standards and isn't even rich. This statement angers Seon Ah, but she hides it and says that, at least Jang On has a nice body, to which the co-worker replies by saying that it's only because he is a construction worker and has to carry heavy items. This was the final straw for Seon Ah, as she gets angry and says that not all construction workers have good bodies, and that her father was a construction worker too and he doesn't have a body like that. Seon Ah then further says that the co-worker should stay out of her business and let her be, and then Seon Ah will stay out of her business because Seon Ah is aware of her affair with the manager and such. This scares the co-worker and she agrees to Seon Ah before going away. Later, we see that Seon Ah is back at work after her break, and she wonders just why she got so mad when her co-worker was insulting Do Jang On. And at that very moment, Jang On shows up and Seon Ah gets surprised because it is not time for him to come yet. However, Jang On clarifies that he is here because he didn't have work and that he wasn't there to deposit money and only came to see her. Jang On then says that he will be back soon and this time he will make a big deposition and he leaves. Seon Ah wonders why he has been coming to see her and blushes. We then see that Jang On had gotten on the express bus to Daesan, and we also learn that he had already called Taemoon to take up the job and went straight to take the bus. We then see him arriving to the spot where Taemoon and one of his driver were already waiting. They take Jang On to the car and start moving. Taemoon then explains that the guy he is supposed to take out is called Park Gwan-ho, and that he is the leader of an opposition gang. Taemoon explains the conflict between them and says that if he went to attack him, there would be issues in the business. However, if a third party attacks him, it should be fine, and that is where Jang On comes into play. Taemoon says that Gwan-ho must have anticipated something like this and has a lot of underlings with him. Jang On asks him if they can make it before 4:30 p.m. and Taemoon is left confused by this. Jang On says that the bank closes at 4:30, so he needs to finish stuff quickly and go back to the bank, and asks Taemoon if he can make that happen. Taemoon says that it will be dangerous as he has many guards and one of them is a huge Korean traditional wrestler. Jang On doesn't care though, and Taemoon remembers just who Jang On is and tells the driver to take the car to where Park Gwan-ho is eating currently. Jang On asks which food is the best in that restaurant, and the driver responds by saying the dumplings are the best. And off goes Jang On to the restaurant. The driver is worried and asks Taemoon if this is okay, and Taemoon says that there isn't another person like Jang On Earth and that he will deal with. Inside the restaurant, we see that Park Gwan-ho is surrounded by his men while eating, and one of the men is, as mentioned, the huge wrestler guy. Jang On takes a seat at the restaurant and orders some dumplings, which he enjoys in his own style as a food connoisseur, and upon being done, he throws a mug towards where Gwan-ho was sitting, and this angers everyone from that camp as they ask Jang On why he did that. Jang On just simply replies to them that he wants to get into a fight, because he found the sounds they were making while eating to be annoying. This angers Gwan-ho, as he then orders his men to go beat up Jang On. Jang On smirks as the guys come to beat him up, and we get a flash forward, where we see that Jang On has beaten up all the guys with ease, as we see their bloody and beaten up body on the floor alongside the food that was spilled. We see that a bloodied and battered Park Gwon-ho is totally dumbfounded as to what happened. He asks Jang On why did he do what he do and who is he, because he had never seen someone so strong in their work field. Jang On says that he can remember him as the one dude with severe anger issues. Gwon-ho then asks Jang On if Jo Tae-moon paid him to do this, and besides that, how much did he pay him to do this? Whatever the amount was, Gwon-ho is willing to double the amount if Jang On works for him. This interests Jang On for a second, as he wonders that doubling 50 million won would be 100 million won, which is a lot better than 50 million. However, Jang On wonders if Gwon-ho can even pay that large an amount to him. We then see Park Gwon-ho telling Jang On that it isn't required for him to think about it, as we see the large wrestler get back up and use a chair to attack Jang On from behind. Jang On is taken in by surprise, and he puts his arms up to block the chair shot by reflexes and somehow manages to stop it, but it hurt his arm a lot. Gwon-ho then orders his huge monster to attack again, which he obliges and tries to do, but this time Jang On is aware and he kicks him straight in the family jewels to make him lose all sense. Jang On then follows it up with a loaded up axe kick to take out the big dude. This surprises Gwon-ho again, and Jang On asks him if it is 4:30 p.m. yet, to which Gwon-ho says that it isn't even 2 yet, and Jang On leaves restaurant. Later, we then see that Jang On and Tae-moon come out of the bank, all giddy. Tae-moon says that he can't believe that they actually made it before bank hours were closed, and asks Jang On just what he intends to do with that money, now that he has it. Jang On says that he hasn't really thought about it yet, but he did see some apartments around the bus terminal earlier, so maybe he will settle down there after buying one. Tae-moon tells him that it's a bad idea, and that he should buy a house in a better and more urban area than there. Jang On also suggests that he might invest in some stocks as everyone is doing that, and Tae-moon laughs and asks him if he has a stock in mind. Jang On says that he has thought about both Han Electronics and Sam Electronics. Tae-moon then says that between those two, the clear choice is obviously Han Electronics, as they provide electric connection to the entire country, so they're very unlikely to go down in the market. Jang On says that he also thinks that Sam Electronics are good, as their new CEO seems fine, but Tae-moon says that Korean electronics are inferior to Japanese ones, so he doesn't see a point. Jang On then suddenly feels a shock of pain on his arms, and quickly tells Tae-moon that it is hurting where he got hit, and Tae-moon took him to the doctor who he usually goes to, someone who is not fazed by big scars like stabs or other stuff. We then see that they're at the hospital and the doctor has plastered both of Jang On's arms, which annoys him. The doctor tells Jang On that they're both minor fractures, and that they will easily heal quickly, like within a month or two, because the doctor checked his body, and it is a strong one. Jang On is still annoyed and asks if he has to wear this annoying double arm bag at all times, to which the doctor says that he shouldn't even think of using his arms now. Tae-moon then takes Jang On to a place where they can drink. Jang On then says that he is not sure if they should drink when he is in this condition. Tae-moon says that he shouldn't be worried. After all, Jang On is the one who taught them how to drink. They then keep taking shots and start getting more and more intoxicated by the drink. Tae-moon says that he knew that Jang On was strong, but he still didn't expect him to beat them up so easily. He even prepared weapons for him. Jang On asks if he means by firearms by weapons, and if so, how did he get them? Tae-moon says that he had prepared guns for him to fight with, and also said that they get shotguns because they're sold for hunting and they smuggle in guns from Russia. Jang On says that Tae-moon has found the perfect job for him, and Tae-moon says that army suited him better, and he also said that army suited Jang On better as well, so he doesn't know why he quit. Jang On then says that he quit because he went on mission with a few juniors. However, he only came back alone, failing to protect them, and after that, he feels like he shouldn't be called a soldier anymore, and he quit. He thought the souls of his juniors would haunt him, but they never did, maybe because they hate him. Tae-moon notices how heavy the mood had gotten and offered Jang On another drink, and so they kept drinking and drinking for hours, until they both were too intoxicated. However, they were saying that they were both fine and blaming the other one of being too high. Jang On then got up and said that he will be going now, and Tae-moon tried to stop him. However, Jang On insisted that he must go back to his home. Tae-moon then says that he doesn't even have a home and that the place where he lives is just a rundown inn, and offers Jang On to stay for longer, and says that he will rent out a room for him at a good hotel to spend the night in. However, Jang On insists that he must go home and sleep under his own roof. Jang On then leaves. We then see Jang On struggling to walk through the roads, and he eventually finds a stranded bench, where he lays down to rest. However, he eventually dozes off there. We then see a vehicle arrive near the bench, and a few men get outside from it. They see Jang-on, how he is sleeping on the bench in the middle of nowhere, and how he has both of his arm fractured, and they find it very shady. The guys then decide to take Jang-on to a place that would better suit a person like him, and then we see that they load up Jang-on to the vehicle, and the vehicle soon leaves for the destination of Daesan Welfare Organization. We then see that Do Jang-on is dreaming. In the dream, he is caught up in a dark forest with nothing else in sight. There he realizes that someone is calling him as the first sergeant. Jang-on then sees that the people looking for him are the 2 juniors from his division, who passed away during the mission in North Korea, and seeing them surprises Jang-on, as they usually don't come to see him in his dreams. Later, Jang-on sees that there is a gun laying around the ground, and he picks it up and puts it against his head, asking if that's what those guys want from him. As he is about to pull the trigger, he suddenly wakes up and sees a random guy telling him to get up and start the day. Jang-on can't understand what is happening, as he doesn't recognize that guy, nor does he recognize where he is and what he is wearing. Jang-on then asks the guy who he is and where are they and why are they there, to which the guy says that he asks too many questions, but he explains everything one by one, starting off by introducing himself as Lee Sun-jo, and then he tells Jang-on that the place they are at is the Daesan Welfare Facility, and the outfit they're wearing is the uniform of the inmates. Sun-jo says that there are other things out these for him to tell Jang-on. However, by this point, Jang-on had already gotten up from his bed and started walking away. Sun-jo goes after him and asks Sun-jo where he is going, to which Jang-on says that he is going home. Jang-on then goes near the gate and sees that the gate is locked from the inside. Jang-on gets annoyed by this, and Sun-jo comes forth and tells Jang-on that this place is known to imprison people by force, hence why it is locked. Jang-on is confused by this. However, at that very moment, an angry man comes towards them and asks them just what they are thinking of doing. Sun-jo quickly explains to Jang-on before he even asks that the person standing there is none other than their platoon leader and that everyone must respect him as such. Sun-jo also warns Jang-on that the platoon leader always carries a foul temper and irritating him has only led to more harm than good. Jang-on looks unimpressed by this info dump. However, his eyes quickly glaze over to the platoon leader's arm, which has a stash of keys. The platoon leader once again yells at them, asking what they are doing. Jang-on then goes forward and bluntly asks the platoon leader for the keys, as he wants to go outside. The platoon leader gets incredibly annoyed by the nonchalance of Do Jang-on and tries to teach him a lesson by throwing a sudden kick at him. However, this is child's play to Jang-on, and he easily manages to sidestep, which causes the platoon leader to kick the hard door and get hurt instead. Jang-on also loads up his punch to hit the platoon leader. However, he quickly realizes that his arms are still very much injured and remembers about what the doctor said about not using his arms a lot, as that will cause his arms to get damaged even more and make his recovery time even longer. And so, Jang-on decides against punching the guy. That is when a bunch of inmates run towards the scene to check up on the platoon leader, asking if he was okay, and the platoon leader commands them to break the already broken arms of Jang-on and send him to the ward as a punishment. The guys then take the order from the platoon leader and get ready to beat up Do Jang-on. The people then surround him, and Jang-on thinks that he can surely take on and beat everyone here at once. However, he doesn't want to risk his arms. According to Sun-jo, he learned that this is a place where people are forcefully imprisoned for whatever reason, which means that he can't escape easily, so he can't put his arms to risk and heal up before the escape. However, Jang-on was already cornered by now and his back was against the wall. Jang-on was contemplating how to fight all these guys. Should he try to fight them while simultaneously protecting his arms from getting hit? Is that what he should do? At that moment, we see that Sun-jo has stepped in for Jang-on, and he tells the platoon leader that Jang-on is a new guy who just came in today, and that he has no idea where he is and doesn't know the greatness possessed by the platoon leader. If he had known about that, he wouldn't even dare to misbehave with the man himself. The platoon leader is happy hearing his praises and understands the situation as explained by Sun-jo. Sun-jo then further goes on to request for a couple of days for him to educate Jang-on, so that he can learn about how this place works, and requests for everyone to let him off for now. Sun-jo then tells Jang-on to bow down and beg. He tells him to apologize for misbehaving and tell them that he won't repeat it again. Jang-on can't believe what he is being made to do. However, he doesn't want to risk a fight himself, so he decides to play along for the moment, and he bows down to apologize and vows to never repeat this again. The platoon leader then hits him on the back of his head and tells Jang-on to get in line for the roll call. Later on, we see that everyone has gathered for the roll call, and Jang On is caressing his head which got hit, while Sun Jo praises him for doing well there and promises to tell him the working arounds of this place once they find a better place and time. We then see the platoon leader call for the rolls and everyone quickly follows it with discipline. After he is done counting, the platoon leader declares that there are 24 people under his charge including the new guy, Du Jang On, before opening up the lock and letting the inmates follow his lead in line. Du Jang On asks Sun Jo just where are they heading to, and Sun Jo tells him that they're going to grab breakfast, which immediately excites Jang On because of his love for food. After a while, in the canteen, we see that Jang On is wondering just how weird this place is. How this place is acting like it's a military camp with how they carry themselves, but it is not. How this place locks up people, but it is not even a prison. However, he feels the strangest thing out of them all is the food that they hand out for people to eat. We then see the awful plate of food that was given to Jang On and others to eat. It looks like someone's leftover food was left to rot for a few weeks. Jang On can't believe how awful the food is and how humans are supposed to eat it. Jang On says to himself that he would definitely stab the one who prepared this food with a chopstick, however he can't, because they only provide fork spoons here. Lee Sun Jo then speaks up and tells Jang On that he will explain the rest as was promised by him. Sun Jo says that the Daesan Welfare Facility is an organization that gives shelter, food and work to homeless people and helps them lead a good life. Upon hearing this, Jang On is flabbergasted, as he tells Sun Jo that he isn't even homeless. Sun Jo then says that he is correct about that, and that most people who are taken in by this welfare facility aren't even homeless to begin with. Instead, the organization forcefully captures people and imprison them here to get them to work for them. Why? Because the government of the country provides funds to each and every one of those homeless people. And that is why the Daesan Welfare Facility imprison normal people, label them as homeless and eat up the funds from the government. Jang On can't believe this and asks Sun Jo just what kind of people would imprison normal people for no reason other than for their own gain. That is when they notice that someone has entered the canteen room. As everyone focuses on that, Sun Jo tells Jang On that the kind of people who run this kind of business are right there in front of them, the two sons of the president of the Daesan Welfare Facility. We then see the two sons, the eldest one and the vice president of the organization being Park Gwang and the second son, and the general manager of the organization, the huge man named Park Yom. Jang On says that it looks like they're running an inspection of sorts, and Sun Jo replies by saying that it is an inspection and says that this is the opportunity for one to get themselves known to the people higher up. We then see Park Gwang walking up to Jang On and Sun Jo, and Park Gwang asks how did Jang On injure his arms and asks if he is new because he hasn't seen him before. Sun Jo replies instead KF Jang On, telling Gwang that he is a new guy who joined recently. Gwang asks if he will be able to live in this welfare facility with all of his injuries, and Sun Jo says that he is taking special care of him and that Jang On will fit right in. Gwang praises Sun Jo, saying that he had no idea such a nice person was living here. Sun Jo says that he might be good, but is he good enough to be an honor student? Gwang smirks hearing this and replies by asking if Sun Jo wants to be an honor student. Gwang then asks him for his name and tells him that he will surely keep an eye on him and his wish. Jang On is annoyed by this, as he realized that Sun Jo was only playing nice because of his inner motives. Park Gwang then asks Jang On about how he is doing and if the food given to him by the facility is any good. This question triggers Jang On as he goes on to berate the food provided. Jang On states that the food sucks and that humans won't be able to eat this kind of food. He says that the salted fish is more like rotten fish and says that he doesn't understand what kind of simmering was used to ruin the soup. He also adds that the vegetables are melting. Sun Jo is confused as he doesn't know why Jang On snapped all of a sudden. He doesn't understand because he doesn't know Jang On's passion for food, and that passion has made him incapable of being dishonest about it. The vice president hears this and grabs the food plate from Jang On, before dumping it right on top of his head. Jang On is pissed off by this, but the president goes on saying that ungrateful nobodies like Jang On should be grateful that they're even getting to eat and not complain about the food. Gwang then throws the plate, which hits Jang On's head, and he tells him to keep a hold of himself. Jang On is enraged by this, his eyes going red from anger. Park Gwang then asks Sun Jo just what kind of work has he been doing on Jang On for him to behave this way, and tells him to teach him things well from now on, before walking away. Sun Jo then checks on Jang On, and says that he should clean up his head quickly, but Jang On looks at him with pure unfiltered rage. The countdown begins. 29 more days until Du Jang-on's arms are fully healed. We then see that Du Jang-on is taking a shower, and while doing so, he gets annoyed by the water flow, deeming that to be uncomfortable as well. Later on, we see that Jang-on is cleaning up the ground with a broom alongside Sun Jo. Jang-on tells Sun Jo that his clothes aren't even dry yet, to which Sun Jo replies by saying that the clothes will eventually dry off while they're working. This annoys Jang-on, as he remembers what the vice president had done to him and gets mad about it. Sun Jo then says that Jang-on should be glad that the vice president dumped the food on him before lunchtime, as if he had done it afterwards, he wouldn't be able to clean himself up. Jang-on scoffs and says that wouldn't it have been just better if the vice president didn't do anything like that all? As that is wrong. Sun Jo says that it's true, but as he is supposed to add to it. A bald and overweight man comes between Sun Jo and Jang-on and says that he agrees with the newcomer. Sun Jo refers to the man as Your Excellency and asks him what he is doing there. This shocks Jang-on as he thinks that the old man must be some sort of president, as he was referred to as His Excellency. Right then, we see someone call His Excellency and tell him that he promised to go and wash the rags today, so why is he slacking off now? His Excellency remembers that and jogs off to go do his chore. Jang-on then asks Sun Jo why he referred to the fat old man as His Excellency, and if that old man is a president of what. Sun Jo says that the old man is not a president, but he thinks he is. Jang-on says that then the guy must be deluded for real if he thinks like that. Sun Jo explains that the man has gotten old and doesn't understand or remember things as well as he once used to. Sun Jo then tells Jang-on that the man was a Vietnam War veteran, and there he saw several atrocities and saw many friends losing their lives, and so he has been mentally unstable since. This shocks Jang-on, as he learns that the old man was once a soldier, just like him. Sun Jo then further adds that after returning from the war, His Excellency was sent to a mental rehab center, where he began to lose himself even more. There, he saw the bald president on the television, and since then, he has been afraid of the bald man and used to quiver whenever he saw him. However, as he aged himself, he lost hair and became bald, and is now unable to see himself in the mirror. Jang-on says that happened was unfortunate, but asks Sun Jo how he knows about all these things, to which Sun Jo replies that he got to learn about these things from the friend of His Excellency, who was also an inmate here. However, he passed away. Jang-on is a bit shocked hearing this, and asks if people really pass away while being here. Sun Jo replies by saying that lots of people pass away while being here, some due to health issues, some because of injuries, and some because of the harsh treatment from the staff and the platoon leaders. Sun Jo further adds that when the platoon leader threatened to send him to the ward after beating him up, he meant to finish him off, as when people are sent to the ward, they are left untreated and hence, they slowly end up passing away from accumulated damages. Jang-on is taken aback after learning this, and says that the people who do these kinds of things are really the worst people in the world. Just when he is talking about the worst people in the world, the platoon leader shows up and tells everyone to pay attention. The platoon leader announces that today is an inquiry day, and that everyone should do their chores quickly and gather up for the occasion at the sports ground. Jang-on is left confused from this, but Sun Jo tells him that because it is inquiry day, he will be able to see the actual worst people in Daesan Welfare Facility today. We then see that every inmate has gathered in the sports ground, where the director Park In-jae stands atop a podium to deliver a speech. The platoon leaders tell everyone to bow down to show respect to the director, and they do so. Jang-on understands that Park In-jae is the guy, and he is the supposed worst one among them all. Anyway, we later see the director starting his speech. The director starts off by saying that there are various kinds of trees in the world, and that each tree has and serves their own purpose. Some trees are used as pillars for palaces, some are used for fuel, but each of them have their own use, which is decided based upon its characteristics. He further continues, saying humans are no different and that they also have their own use and are used based on their characteristics. Even great people like St. Paul were used based on their characteristics. However, he states that the inmates don't have any characteristics, hence they are useless and hold no value in society. However, he, the director, is like Jesus Christ, in that he is a carpenter who will cut off the unnecessary parts about them and mold them to become a person that holds value in the society. After he is done with his speech, everyone is forced to clap, and Jang-on is understandably very unimpressed and says that the director is a deluded man who creates his own happiness with nonsense. We then see that Du Jang-on was also checking out his surroundings while he was pretending to listen to the director's speech. Jang On figured out that the Daesan welfare facility was made up in the middle of the mountain by cutting off that particular portion of the mountain. The welfare facility is surrounded by walls from every side, except for the side that faces the side of the mountain which was cut off. He notes that there is only one entrance gate in the whole facility, that being the main one, so it won't be easy in any way for him to escape as the guards will attack him if he tries to do so. That's why he needs to calm down and wait for both his arms to heal properly for him to even think about the escape. We then see that the director is going away after his speech and his son. Park Gwang praises him for the speech, and the director tells his sons that he trusts them only and that he loves them very dearly. We then see the two sons and the director get in a family embrace. Later, we see that Park Gwang has taken stage and is now going to announce something. Gwang tells everyone that he will now announce an honor student, and this lights up Lee Sun-jo, as he says that he told the vice president about his aspirations before, and the vice president also took his name, so there is a chance that it is him. Jang On asks Sun-jo just what this honor student thing really is, and Sun-jo informs him that an honor student is someone who has been well educated by the welfare facility, and someone who they will now deem as fit to go outside. 3. For people are usually selected every month to have this status. This surprises Jang On a little as he can't quite understand why they would leave one of the inmates suddenly. The vice president then announces that the honor student is from the 4th platoon, and this upsets Sun-jo, as he is from the 3rd platoon. The name of the honor student is then announced to be Kwak Do-young. We see that Kwak Do-young is a rather peculiar middle-aged man, and he can't believe his luck and is very happy. The vice president then invites Kwak Do-young to say a few words. Kwak Do-young is so happy that he doesn't have a whole lot to say. He thanks everyone and tells everyone that he will be heading home now. Sun-jo is jealous of this and says that Do-young is very lucky. However, Jang On is still skeptical about all of this taking place. Later on, we see that Kwak Do-young is in a room with Gwang, and he asks Gwang when can leave, to which Gwang says that they'll let him go after the doctor does a checkup because they can't let him go while being unhealthy. We then see a doctor arriving and he starts checking up on Do-young. After a while of normal checkup, the doctor brings out an injection, which scares Do-young, but the doctor tells him that it's for nutrients only. They then inject it into Do-young, and it quickly makes him unconscious. A few inmates then come and drag him away, while Gwang tells them to take off the uniform as it can be used on another inmate. The doctor then pokes fun at Gwang, saying he can't quite comprehend how Gwang is thinking about saving money in this moment, and then gives him a backhanded compliment for his good economical prowess. Gwang claps back at him, saying that someone who wasted a hospital his father-in-law opened, and someone who gambled all his money away would definitely think of Gwang as some economic expert. Gwang then changes moods and tells the doctor to stay in his limits when talking to him. Later on, we see that an almost naked Do-young is at an operation theater with the doctor from before. The doctor asks one of the nurses which parts to take out this time, to which the nurse tells him this time they need to take out the liver and kidney. The doctor then thinks of all the insults from Park Gwang and says that he is only doing it for the money. The nurse then tells the doctor that they should probably push another anesthesia into Do-young as he might wake up soon. The doctor tells him to not meddle in his business and tries to go ahead with his operation, but Do-young wakes up. The doctor lies to Do-young, telling him that they're doing an extensive checkup, but Do-young has none of it and punches the doctor square in the face before making a run for it. Do-young wonders what are they doing with him while running. However, he runs straight into Park Yom, who then takes him out with a straight punch to the nose. Yom then drags a near lifeless body of Do-young, as Do-young asks why they aren't letting him go home. We then see a conversation taking place between Jo Tae-moon and one of his subordinates in his faction. The subordinate tells Tae-moon that Park Gwon-ho was taken out alongside their men, and that they will no longer meddle in their business as their organization has basically been paralyzed. He further says that because of that, Congressman Choi has handed them over the permission to run a slot machine business in their area, and they can start it right away if they want to. Jo Tae-moon was eating, and he puts his bowl down and says that he still can't get over the hangover from drinking too much. The subordinate then says that the Congressman Choi somehow already knows everything about what happened. It's kind of fishy because all of this happened within a day, yet he knows everything. Tae-moon says that Congressman Choi is a very clever old man, and it is through his smart and agile mind and his ability to take big decisions on short notice that he got into the parliament. The subordinate then says that if everything goes well according to their plan, then they can get Congressman Choi to cut the ribbon on their new business as quickly as possible. We then see Taemoon picking up a dumpling to eat, and while he does that, he remembers how Jang-on asked him about what is good in that restaurant, and the driver told him that it was the dumpling and how that got Jang-on excited to eat the dumpling. Taemoon then tries the dumpling for himself and understands that the dumplings here are really quite good. Taemoon then goes on to ask his subordinate if Sergeant Du Jang-on made it back home safely or not. The scene then changes back to the Daesan welfare facility, where we see that Du Jang-on, Lee Sun-jo and everyone else are working. They are making water spray bottles, and Jang-on finds this work to be very annoying to say the least. Sun-jo then says to Jang-on that he never really asked for his name, to which Jang-on tells Sun-jo his full name. Sun-jo then asks Jang-on what kind of work did he do before getting dragged into the welfare facility. Jang-on then thinks about all the covert and dangerous missions he was on while doing work for the military. He then goes on to answer by saying that he used to do all kinds of work that involved him using his body. Sun-jo then asks him that if it was strength-related work, then he must have injured his arms while working, to which Jang-on replies by saying that he can put it that way if he wants to. We then see the platoon leader yelling at Jang-on and Sun-jo for talking while working, and the platoon leader then asks Jang-on just what he had said to the vice president for him to lash out on him like that. As Jang-on is about to answer, the platoon leader tells him it's not needed and gives him an advice to work well and to not create any problems for the platoon. Jang-on stays silent, and this angers the platoon leader into hitting him on the back of the head and telling him to speak up. Jang-on then controls his anger and says yes. The platoon leader then moves over to the other side, and Sun-jo tells Jang-on that they aren't just scared of a problem starting in the platoon, they're just scared of getting into problem themselves. Jang-on then looks at the keys with the platoon leader and asks Sun-jo why they decide to lock them up from inside, when it is better to lock them up from outside. Sun-jo said that a long time ago, a man came for inspection and reported that it is bad if they lock the people up from the outside, it will make it a prison, and since then, they've made the platoon leaders handle the locking from the inside. Jang-on questions that why does the platoon leader lock it when he, himself, is one of the people getting locked up. Sun-jo says that these people never had a rank in their life, so them getting a rank and an armband representing that is too big of a deal for them. Jang-on understands this, and Sun-jo is still being jealous about the honor students. The scene then changes, and we see the doctor who conducted the operation on Kwak Do-young hand over a box to Park Yeom, the box most likely containing the liver and kidney of Do-young. The doctor hands it over and says that it wasn't really his fault that things got out of hand for a good second, and asks General Manager Yeom if he could tell the vice president that he did the work perfectly well and took all measures to make sure no problems occurred. Yeom then says, "Sir," to which the doctor replies, but Yeom follows it up with a kick to the gut of the doctor, which sends him to his knees and down to the ground from the pain. Yeom then tells the doctor to call the vice president sir, and tells him not to cover up mistakes and make up lies to protect himself. Yeom then drops an envelope full of money and tells the doctor to just admit it if he has made a mistake and try to improve on that. As Yeom walks away, the doctor, still in pain, picks up the envelope and says that it's not really nice that the Park family treats all people like they are animals. However, upon realizing how much money it had, the doctor became happy and said that he is glad that they're paying this animal well, referring to himself. We then see that Park Yeom goes to a rather quiet and dark place near the dock, where we see him hand over the box full of Do-young's organs to a shady person, who then gives him an even bigger stack of money for it. We then see Park Yeom go to his father, the director's office, and hand over all the cash to his old man. The director praises Yeom and tells him to get a good rest as it must be exhausting to do all the work he has done. We then see that the direct puts the stack of money inside his safe alongside many other envelopes full of ridiculous amounts of money. The scene changes, and we see that Jang-on is sleeping peacefully alongside other inmates, when they're unceremoniously woken up by the platoon leader. We then see Jang-on talking about how he has been in the Daesan welfare facility for 4 days, and has slowly managed to settle in as time went by. Maybe it is due to his stint in the military that allows him to adjust to tough situations rather quickly when compared to others. However, it's not all good as the food sucks and the place in general is hard to live in. However, he has been treating this like one of the many dangerous and secret missions he went to. However, when he thinks of it like that, it makes him even more mad because after all, when he was in the military, he had no fear and nothing to care about. He would just take on everything and everyone, regardless of how dangerous or life-threatening it might have been. But now, he has something that he is scared about, He is scared about not being able to see Sienna ever again. Jang-on wonders if she has forgotten about him. Meanwhile, in the bank, we see that Sienna is very gloomy, and she gets excited whenever someone comes to the bank, but gets disappointed when it's not the person she wants to see. We then see one of Sienna's co-workers telling her to go out and grab lunch while she takes care of the reception. Sienna then goes out for lunch, but she wonders why Du Jang-on hasn't come in such a while. She thinks of when he told her that he will be back soon with a lot of money, but hasn't come back since. She wonders if he is okay. She wonders if he is hurt. She wonders if he got into some sort of an accident. Back to the welfare facility, we see that the platoon leader hits Jang-on and tells him to work quicker, as he has been very slow, to which Jang-on says yes. However, the old mad guy from before, His Excellency, tells the platoon leader that he will work more from now on, and that he shouldn't behave badly with injured people. This angers the platoon leader as he grabs the man by the collar and asks him if he had gone mad. His Excellency replied by saying that he hasn't gone mad. He is the president of the country, and this makes the platoon leader punch him in the face. His Excellency falls down and cries from getting hit, and this was the final straw for Du Jang-on. Sienna was wondering if he got into an accident. Well, he hadn't, but now he will. Du Jang-on cusses and calls out the platoon leader. Things are about get broken.